Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Would anybody like to share anything?
I will sing one bhajan Prabhuji.
Okay.
I posted the link. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Toya koro more. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Toya koro more. Tum bina ke doyalu jagat samsar. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Toya karo more. Patit pavana hetu तव अवतार मौसमा पतित प्रभु न पाइबे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे हाँ प्रभु नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद सुखी कृपा बालो कना करो मी बोरो दुखी श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे दया करो सीतापति अद्वैत गोसाई तव कृपा बले पाई चैतन्य निताई श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे गौर प्रेम माया तनु पंडित गदाधर श्रीनिवास हरिदास दोयार सागर श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे स्वरूपासना तन रूप रघुनाथ भट्ट जोग श्री जीवा प्रभु लोकनाथ श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे दया करो श्री आचार्य प्रभु श्रीनिवास रामचंद्र संग मगे नरोत्तम दास श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे तुम बिना के दयालु जगत संसार श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दया करो मोरे Translation. My dear Lord Chaitanya, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds? Your incarnation is just to reclaim the conditioned fallen souls, but I assure you that you will not find a greater fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. My dear Lord Nityanand, you are always joyful and spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, then I may also become happy. My dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, you are so kind. Please be merciful to me. If you are kind to me, naturally Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. Gaura's love embodiment is shown by Gadadhara Pandit. Srinivas Pandita and Haridas Thakur are the ocean of mercy. O Swarup Damodar, personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya, O six Goswamis, O Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, O Lokanath Goswami, my beloved spiritual master, Narottam Das also prays for your mercy. O Srinivas Acharya, successor to the six Goswamis, please be merciful to me. Narottam Das always desires the company of Ramchandra Chakravarti. Yeah, so this bhajan, like we should pray like this, like we are nothing. We should be very humble. We should feel like, we are the most unhappy fallen soul in this material world. And this is the way we can attract the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And this is the mood we should have to pray to our acharyas. And yeah, that's what I learned from this bhajan. Thank you.
Anybody else like to say? Oh,
I have one bhajan.
okay.
Okay, श्री राधे गोविंदा गोपाला तेरा प्यारा नाम है। श्री राधे गोविंदा गोपाला तेरा प्यारा नाम है। मोर मुकुट पीतांबर सोहे गले में जंती माला। कोई कहे वसुदेव का नंदन कोई कहे नंद लाला। जमुना किनारे कृष्ण कन्हैया मुरली मधुर बजावे। ग्वाल बाल संग कान्हा माखन मिश्री खावे। अर्जुन का रथ तुमने हाँका भारत भाई लड़ाए। नाम को लेकर विष भी पी गई देखो मीराबाई। जल में गल को ग्रह ने घेरा जल में चक्र चलाए। जब जब वीर पड़ी भक्तन पे नंगे पाव धाए। अजामिल के अंत समय में तेरा नाम जब आया। जब दूतों से मुक्त करा के आपने धाम पठाया। नरसी के सब काज सुधारे मुझको मत बिसरावे। जन्म जन्म का तेरा सारंग तेरा ही गुण गावे। श्री राधे गोविंदा गोपाला तेरा प्यारा नाम है। श्री राधे गोविंदा गोपाला तेरा प्यारा नाम है। Translation. O pleaser of the senses of Radha, O protector of cows, your name is very precious to us. You are beautified by a peacock feather crown, yellow garments, and multicolored flower garland. Some people call you the son of Vasudeva, while others call you the son of Nanda Maharaj. You, darling Krishna Kanhaiya, play sweet melodies on your low-pitched Murali flute while standing on the bank of the Yamuna river. O Kanha, you eat butter and sugar candy sweets in the company of your cowherd boyfriends. You drove Arjuna's chariot and thus brought about the great battle of ancient India. When the female saint Mirabai chanted your name and drank the poison sent by her envious husband to kill her, the poison was turned into nectar. When the elephant Gajendra was trapped by the crocodile in the lake, you threw your Sudarshan Chakra into the water to save him. Whenever the devotees like Draupadi are afraid of being naked, then you come running and spread your cloth to cover them. When Ajamil was approaching his final moment, he remembers to utter your name. Thus he was freed from the grasp of the Yamadutas and dispatched in the company of the Vishnudutas to your own transcendental abode. You also fulfilled all the tasks undertaken by the saint Narsi Mehta. You are taking care of all these devotees. Please do not forget me. May I remain absorbed birth after birth in your affection while confidently singing your glories. We don't know who wrote this song. So, Krishna is Achyuta, infallible, and so is his name. His name, Krishna has promised, will protect. Kvanteya pratijani nama bhakta pranashyati. I will protect my devotees. My devotees will never. I will protect my devotees.
Perish.
So, perish. Yeah, my devotees will never perish. So all these devotees, Arjuna was protected in the battle of Kurukshetra because Krishna was shielding him. So was Mirabai. So many times she was attacked, but Krishna saved her. And Gajendra was trapped in the water by the crocodile, was chewing upon him. So Krishna sent his Sudarshan Chakra, saved him. Draupadi, Krishna saved him. And says, whenever the devotees are afraid of being naked, there are so many situations where people are trying to make us naked, or what we can say is we are in difficult situation. Nobody is there to help us. Then Krishna would come and protect us. And Ajamil, even though he didn't chant the name of the Lord, but the name protected him. Narsi Mehta. So all these devotees. So this author is saying that you are taking care of all these devotees, and I am also a devotee. Please do not forget me. And birth after birth, let me always sing your glories. How you are infallible. You always protect your devotees. And your name is very precious to us.
Thank you. Very nice. So, okay. Any other comments? Anybody has? Okay. So we'll read Srimad Bhagavatam. Brahma's prayers for creative energy. Third canto, 9th chapter, verse 38. So let's read Srimad Bhagavatam with attention, just as we chant the holy name, in the consciousness that Bhagavatam is speaking to us, Srila Prabhupada is speaking to us, and let us be purified by the nectarian words of Bhagavatam, by the nectarian purports of Srila Prabhupada. I don't know anything. I'm ignorant. I'm sinner. I'm fool. Bhagavatam is giving me some guidance and instructions. Bhagavatam is my master. Srila Prabhupada is my master. So let's read in that consciousness that may I be purified by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. May my love for Krishna increase. Okay, so 3938. Yat chakarthanga mat stotram mat kathabhyu dayankitam yadva tapasite nishtha sa esha mad anugraha. Okay, I'm not sure if this we read yesterday, but maybe we read this.
We didn't read 38.
We didn't read. Okay. All right. O Brahma, the prayers that you have chanted, praising the glories of my transcendental activities, the penances you have undertaken to understand me, and your firm faith in me, all these are to be considered my causeless mercy. So devotional service, the faith The austerity we can do in devotional service is all mercy of Krishna. And the penances that Brahma took to understand Krishna, that is also Krishna's mercy. When a living entity desires to serve the Lord in transcendental loving service, the Lord helps the devotee in so many ways as the Chaitya Guru or the spiritual master within. And thus the devotee can perform many wonderful activities beyond material estimation. By the mercy of the Lord, even a layman can compose prayers of the highest spiritual perfection. Such spiritual perfection is not limited by material qualifications, but is developed by dint of one's sincere endeavor to render transcendental service. Voluntary endeavor is the only qualification for spiritual perfection. Material acquisitions of wealth or education are not considered. So just our sincere desire to render service to Krishna, that's what counts. Nothing else, no other material qualification counts. Just our sincerity in wanting to serve Krishna, wanting to connect with Krishna through service like that. That's only. And everything is possible by the mercy of the Lord. Even a layman, hukum karoti vachalam, angolangayati. Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru dinatarinam. It says that how by the mercy of Guru, even a lame man can cross mountains and even a dumb man can speak eloquent words. So this is how it is possible by the mercy. So we have many examples like Kolavech Sridhar, he was asked to offer prayers to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, said to offer prayers, and he said, "Oh, I'm illiterate, I don't have." And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered him. Same with Dhruva Maharaj also. So by Krishna can make his devotees very empowered if the devotees has sincere desire to. In fact, Krishna even gives himself to his sincere devotee. He gives his own self to his sincere devotee. And Prabhupada says that you don't need to have any material qualification to please the Lord. It's just our desire that I want to please Krishna. That's what counts. Manye dhana bijana rupa tapashruta ojas teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yoga naradnaya hi bhavanti parasya pumso bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gaja yutapaya. Prahlad Maharaj says, yes, you cannot be pleased by dhana, by rupa, by austerity, but only by bhakti. Means our sincere endeavor to love Krishna, to please Krishna. That's what Krishna sees. And whatever we are able to do in devotional service, whatever faith we have, that is also given by Krishna. Okay. Any other comments? Next verse. Pritohamastu bhadram te lokanam vijayechaya yadashtushir gunamayam nirgunam manu varnayan. I am very much pleased by your description of me in terms of my transcendental qualities, which appear mundane to the mundaners. I grant you all benedictions in your desire to glorify all the planets by your activities. Okay, so Krishna is very pleased with Brahma's glorification of his transcendental qualities. So one aspect of prayer is glorification of the Lord. So does the Lord need glorification? He's in need of glorification. Just like somebody glorifies us, we feel happy. So is it kind of same like the Lord? Somebody's glorifying the Lord, and then he feels happy. Yes, he feels happy. But the Jiva also, who is glorifying the Lord, also feels very happy glorifying the Lord, because that is the constitutional position of the Jiva, to be subordinate to the Lord, to accept the Lord's master, the Lord as the master. So Krishna is very, Vishnu is very pleased by the glorification of Brahma. And this glorification appears like an exaggeration to the mundane people, those who have no devotion, like when Krishna entered the arena of Kansa to battle with Chanur and Mushtik, Krishna and Balaram. Then different people were seeing Krishna in their own way. So it is described how, depending on your consciousness, you look at Krishna. Ittham satam brahma sukhanubhutya. In that verse, also it is described that those who are affected by Maya, they see him as an ordinary person. And those who are the devotees, they see him as their worshipable Lord. Those who are yogis, they see him as the Brahman effulgence. Like that, so different. Yathamam prapadyate tansathaiva bhajami ham. Sometimes people think, yeah, this is too much glorification of Krishna. This is like, first of all, for them, whether Krishna exists or not is the real thing. You are dedicating your life to Krishna. Krishna is there. Who is Krishna? It's written in some book about Krishna. You are believing all these things. So it all depends on the faith and so many things. But we have to keep faith in the words of Shastra and Srila Prabhupada. So, and they think there are so many things to do in this world. You are dedicating your life to this unknown person, Krishna, who we don't know whether really if he exists or not. So you are talking about him and chanting his names and everything. So it all depends on faith. So it appears mundane to mundaners. A pure devotee of the Lord like Brahma and those in the line of disciplic succession always desire that the Lord be known all over the universe by each and every one of the living entities. That desire of the devotee is always blessed by the Lord. The impersonalist sometimes prays for the mercy of the personality of God Narayan as the embodiment of material goodness, but such prayers do not satisfy the Lord because he is not thereby glorified in terms of his actual transcendental qualities. The pure devotees of the Lord are always most dear to him, although he is always kind and merciful to all living entities. Here the word Gunamayam is significant because it indicates the Lord's possessing transcendental qualities. So, the desire of the devotee to make Krishna famous is always blessed by the Lord. The desire of the devotee to spread Krishna consciousness is always very pleasing to the Lord, because the Lord wants everybody to come back to him. And so the pure devotees are very dear to him. Everybody is dear to him, but the pure devotees are most dear to him. The Lord being the father of all living entities, he has love for all his children. But those children who are loving the father, they become specially dear to the father. Other children who are ignoring the father, the Lord even has love for them, but he can't reciprocate because the other children are like rebellious. He wants to reciprocate, but they are not willing to accept his love or acknowledge his love, basically. So Krishna wants to reciprocate with everybody, but we are saying No, I have other things to do. I have so many other important things to do. So you don't interfere. There is nothing important thing to do in this material world. We are thinking, I have to achieve this, I have to achieve that, but it will all be finished in a short time. Everything is going to be be dust. Dust unto what is that? Dust. From dust we have come, and to dust we will go back. The body itself will become dust. So what to speak of all the achievements of this body and all this? It's gone. So there is nothing really to do in this material world, although we are thinking I have so many things to do, except service to the Lord. And then you can do everything if it is done as a service to the Lord. But otherwise, it's all shrama eva hi kevalam. It is hard labor for nothing. It's like somebody gives you like some nice thing in the morning, and the evening they take it away. So it's like that. So it's given for some time and then taken away. So for a short period of time. So yeah, you will say no. I don't do work very hard for something that is going to be taken away. At any moment, it can be taken away. So let me invest my time in something which I can take with me. So that is the bhakti. So uh, yeah, so that way the devotee becomes detached from all this, and he has more time to serve Krishna from all the, because material desires, fulfillment of material desires take a whole lot of our time in this world, and that's why we are short of time because we have so much material desires to fulfill, and those desires, fulfilling those desires takes a whole lot of our energy and time, and you know, yeah. So if you are free from material desires, you have more time to chant Hare Krishna, to serve Krishna, to read the scriptures, to go out and preach also. Free to preach. There is a book. Free to preach. But if we are absorbed in our thing, then there is no time to go out and preach. No time to read the scriptures. So we have to save time. Prabhupada wrote to Jai Pataka Maharaj, save time and chant Hare Krishna. So we have to do the whatever is needful. Of course, we have to take care of our situation, whatever. But we have to try to cut out things that are not really necessary, and then you have time. Then you can chant 16 rounds or 32 rounds or more rounds. If you cut out the non-essentials, so our mind is making us think that all these things are very essential. Some things are essential, like our job, we have to do our job to maintain. But there are many non-essential things which we can cut out, and then you can save time. Okay, so anartha means something that has no value. We think that is so much value in this. So, so we have to read the scriptures, and then we will come to realize, oh, these material desires are of no value really. By Prabhupada is trying to convince us through his purports and things like that. This all is not of any value. What you are trying to do and achieve in this material world is of not really any. So in the previous purport, he said that self-realization should be conducted on the basis of non-existence of the material body. This material body is there and gone, so don't pay too much importance on this material body. And of course, we have to take care of the body, but yeah, otherwise, just pay attention to the soul, the real I. Okay, so like that. Any other comments on this verse? Okay, so we'll read the next verse. Yayetena pumam nityam stutva stotrena mam bhajit tasyashu samprashideyam sarvakama pareshwaraha. Any human being who prays like Brahma and who thus worships me shall very soon be blessed with the fulfillment of all his desires, for I am the Lord of all benediction. Krishna is like a desire tree, and whatever you want, you can get from the desire tree. Like the Vedas are considered like that, desire tree. The prayers, and there are so many sections of the Vedas where if you want something, you worship this demigod, then you will get this. If you want good health, you worship Surya Dev. If you want a good husband, then you worship Lord Shiva. You want a good wife, then you worship Uma. Like that, there is many different prescriptions given to satisfy the desires of the living entity. But if you go to Krishna, then everything is, all the demigods are empowered by Krishna only. So go to Krishna. Even if there is material desires, don't go to the demigods. Go to Krishna. Akama sarva kamava. Because Krishna says they are giving you benedictions, but they are coming from me. So Mayeva vihitan hitan. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta shraddhaya architum ichchati. Tasya tasya chalam shraddham tan eva vidadami aham. Krishna is saying, whichever demigod you want to worship, I will give you the faith. And endowed with faith, sataya shraddhaya yuktas, tasya aradhna mihate, labate cha tatha akaman, mayeva vihitanitan. And endowed with that faith, you worship a particular demigod, but and you obtain your labate cha tatha kaman, you obtain the fulfillment of your desires. But those are mayeva vihitanitan. But I have given those. I have empowered the demigods. So the prayers offered by Brahma cannot be chanted by anyone who desires to fulfill his own sense gratification. So to worship Krishna, Krishna says, Kamestastarita jnana prapadyanti anya devata. Those whose hearts have been stolen by material desires, they worship the demigods. So Prabhupada says, yeah, those who want sense gratification, they cannot chant all these pure prayers of Brahma. Such prayers can be selected only by a person who wants to satisfy the Lord by serving him. The Lord certainly fulfills all desires in regard to transcendental loving service, but he does not fulfill the whims of non-devotees, even when such casual devotees offer him the best of prayers. On one hand, we say Krishna will fulfill desires, and then Prabhupada writes here that he does not fulfill the whims of non-devotees. Yeah, so it depends. Well, if you approach Krishna, he may fulfill your desire and then in that way bring you closer to him. Or he may not fulfill your desire but remove the material desire from your heart. And you will not feel any hankering. Somebody has a material desire, they feel a lot of hankering. But another person who doesn't have that material desire doesn't feel that hankering. So Krishna may remove that material desire from the heart, or he may fulfill the desire and bring you closer to him. Sometimes he does that. Or he may remove the material desire only from your heart. So there is no hankering. Like, when a new movie comes, right? Those old days when a new movie comes, then you want to be the first person to see the movie. Now you have Netflix. That time there was no Netflix and things like that. You have to go to the theater to see the movie. So it's a new movie everybody wants to see. So you have to go early in the morning, book your ticket in the morning. At 10 o'clock, the ticket office will open. There is a long queue, and you have to stand in the line. And sometimes you have to stand like an hour or 2 hours. Because you are hankering to see that movie. But somebody who doesn't have that desire, he's peacefully sitting at home, and he doesn't have to go through that hardship of standing in the line and like sweating in the sun, sometimes like that. He doesn't have that desire. But those who have that desire, they have to toil very hard. So material desires make us work very hard, and we think this hard work is is the is the enjoyment in life. But Rishabdev says, "Oh, this human form of life is not meant to work hard like dogs and hogs. For Nayam deho bhajamni loke kashtan kaman arhati vid pujami. Tapo divyam putraka yena sattvam shuddhi yad yasmat brahma saukyantanantam." I want to read something from Prabhupada, sent by Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. We are not liked. Prabhupada says we are not liked. This is a lecture on Bhagavad Gita 4.19 in Bombay. Therefore, the present policy is that engage them in work only and never mind. There is no need of spiritual education. There is no need of jnana. You throw them out. So modern civilization means everybody has just engage them in work, make them work very hard. Now work just like ass, that's all. This is the modern policy of the whole world. Engage them. In England and other countries, they want to see that everyone is engaged in working. Then their factories and other things will go on. And if one is engaged in philosophy, jnana, then work will stop. Because one will think, why am I working so hard? All these things. So they do not like this Krishna consciousness movement anywhere. We are not liked. They are under the impression that will make the people escaping. But that is not the fact. We are actually distributing knowledge. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam. When one becomes actually on the platform of knowledge, then he does not work like an ass. But people want that people should work like ass. That is the difficulty. There is a clash between our movement and others. They want to make all people to work hard like an ass. There is a difference of philosophy. We are preaching Nayam deha prajami loke. In the human society, this is not meant for working so hard like an ass, like a hog, simply for sense gratification. This is Krishna conscious philosophy. So human life should be sober and peaceful, and you have to work. Everybody has to work, but that much necessary to keep things going. Not too much endeavor and you forget to remember. If you're working for Krishna, that's different. If you know the goal of life and you're working, like Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, there are many members of Krishna's International Society for Krishna Consciousness who work very hard in their factories, but they give whatever they are earning to the cause of the movement, basically to propagate the movement. Then they are also sannyasis, he says like that. So working is not denied, but what is the first you have to set the goal of your life, and then we are working to please Krishna. So you can work without any, but otherwise, simply working hard for sense gratification is condemned by the scriptures, by Rishabdev, like that. Okay, so it's not that we become lazy. Prabhupada didn't like also that you just become lazy in the name of Krishna consciousness. No, devotees are active in serving Krishna. They are, in the morning, since morning till evening, Prabhupada says, we have invented all these services, or we have not invented, but we have all these services to keep busy always in Krishna's service. Mangala Arti, Tulsi Puja, Narsingha Arti, Darshanarti, Guru Puja, then Bhagavatam class, then in the temple. Then there is some cooking for the deities, then you go out. I mean, those days they used to go out after the morning program, they go out chanting, book distribution. So like that, all the time busy in service, something to do for Krishna. So devotees are not lazy like that. They are active. So, okay, so the next verse. Any comments on this verse? The next verse. Purtena tapasa yagner danir yoga samadhina radham nihashreyasham pumsam mat pritis tatvavin matam. It is the opinion of expert transcendentalists that the ultimate goal of performing all traditional good works, penances, sacrifice, charity, mystic activities, meditation in trance, is to invoke my satisfaction. So the expert people have uh, inferred, have come to this conclusion that ultimately it is all the work we do is to satisfy Krishna, is ultimately meant to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Like Krishna says, Yat karoshi yad ashnasi, yad juhosi dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. Atapumbir dvija shreshta, varnashrama vibhagasha, swanustitasya dharmasya, sansiddhir haritoshanam. So the everything should be done for the satisfaction of the Lord. That is the opinion of expert transcendentalists. There are many traditionally pious activities in human society, such as altruism, philanthropy, nationalism, internationalism, charity, sacrifice, penance, and even meditation in trance, and all of them can be fully beneficial only when they lead to the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The perfection of any activity, social, political, religious, or philanthropic, is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. This secret of success is known to the devotee of the Lord, as exemplified by Arjun on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As a good non-violent man, Arjuna did not want to fight with his kinsmen. But when he understood that Krishna wanted the fight and had arranged it at Kurukshetra, he gave up his own satisfaction and fought for the satisfaction of the Lord. That is the right decision for all intelligent men. One's only concern should be to satisfy the Lord by one's activities. If the Lord is satisfied by an action, whatever it may be, then it is successful. Otherwise, it is simply a waste of time. That is the standard of all sacrifice, penance, austerity, mystic trance, and other good and pious work. Okay, we'll let you say anything if you have anything like to say. So there are two verses that come to mind. Dharma swanustita pumsam visvakshena katha suya notpade yadiratim shrama evahi kevalam. That Bhagavatam verse says the occupational duties a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, we may do our duties very nicely, but if it does not result in some attraction for serving Krishna, for hearing about Krishna, then all those, you may do your job very nicely, you take care of your family nicely, everything. But if it doesn't result in some attraction for hearing, and Bhagavatam is saying you have wasted your time. You have worked hard for nothing. Shrama, done hard labor. So it's just simply hard labor. Bhagavatam is saying like that. Of course, we do pious activities, we get good life, next life, and good material situation, but it is still in the prison of the material existence. You get a better cell in the prison house, but you are still in the prison. So that's why the other verse also, Eta Sankhya Yogapyam Swadharma Parinishtaya Janma Labha Parapumsam Ante Narayana Smriti. It says the perfection of all the yoga and whatever you do, Swadharma, the activities you do, is that you can remember Narayan at the time of death. Ante Narayana Smriti. So this the experts have concluded. Vishnu is saying this is the opinion of expert transcendentalist. So okay, so any comments anybody has on this verse?
Also, Kana Vacha Manasindriya
Kayane
Buddhyatma
vacha mane.
Namastasvabha Karoti Yadyat Sakalam Parasmin Narayanyati Samarpayat. Whatever one does according to his nature, whatever one does with his body, mind, words, senses, all of that should be offered to Krishna, thinking this is for the pleasure of Lord Narayan.
Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatma Vanushuta Swabhavat. Then Sakalam
करोति
Karoti
यत्
Yat
यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणेति समर्पयत्.
Smarpayetat. So according to our Swabhav, we have certain, that's Varnashram. We do for the satisfaction of Hari. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else? And then,
And Krishna is satisfied, then we become satisfied. यथा तोर्मुलनिश्चयेन तृप्यते तत्सकलं.
yeah. And Krishna is satisfied when the pure devotee is satisfied. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasadat na gati kutopi. So, when the pure devotees, or the devotees are satisfied, then Krishna is pleased. So, by the mercy of, how do we know Krishna is pleased with us? If the spiritual master is satisfied, by whose mercy we get the mercy of Krishna. Yasya prasadat. Yasya means by whose. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado. And by not getting, yasya aprasadat, not getting, nagati kutopi. You don't get, yeah. So pleasing the devotees of the Lord. Yeah.
Also bhakti parishanubhava viraktir. So if somebody has this devotion, direct experience of the Lord and detachment, these things will happen if we are doing our services properly and pleasing Krishna.
Correct. Bhakti pareshanubhavo virakti anyatra cha isha trika eka kala prapadya manasi yathashnatashi tushti pushti shudapayo anughasham. Just as you eat, three things happen. Right? What three things happen? When you
feel
eat.
pleasure, you are nourished, and you don't feel hungry anymore.
So if you are doing bhakti properly, then these things would come. Direct experience. Bhakti para ishanubhava. Anubhava means experience. So we have the experience of the Lord. It means you may see the Lord or you just experience the hand of the Lord in your life. Bhakti para ishanubhava. Virakti, detachment. Bhakti para ishanubhava. Virakti anyatra cha. Devotion and direct experience of the Lord, right? Three things. Correct. And if it is not happening, then we keep doing it because we are still contaminated. So it is not, we are not experiencing. Or there are worms in the stomach, right? As one devotee was saying that you are eating food, but you are not deriving any nourishment because there are worms in the stomach. They are eating away all your nutrition. So you're eating, but you're not deriving the nutrition. So what can we say? That we are doing bhakti, but we are not because of offenses and our
Maintaining material attachments,
material bad habits. So, but we should not get discouraged. We keep taking the medicine, deworming. Yeah, you have to deworm yourself. The medicine you have to keep taking. Like that other verse says in Ayurveda, the medicine for jaundice is sugar cane juice. So it appears bitter, but if you keep taking the sugar cane juice, then eventually the sugar cane juice will appear sweet. Because that is the medicine. And the medicine is also sweet. So keep taking the medicine.
So maybe taking the medicine will help you realize what wrong things that you're doing, because unless you correct those things, bahu janma kare yadi shravan tabuta na paye Krishna pade.
Yeah.
If you continue to commit offenses unknowingly or you don't know, then yeah, we need to correct that. But Krishna only will get the guidance from within, and we can pray then.
Krishna only gives the strength because anarthas are very powerful. So only Krishna we have to pray that Krishna, please give me the strength. So Otherwise, we know things, what is to be done, what is not to be done. But the anarthas are so powerful that we cannot do the right thing and we end up doing the wrong thing because of this powerful anarthas, demons. So, of course, we have to endeavor and Krishna's mercy. We have to try hard and we have to also pray for Krishna's mercy. So, both are there. So habits are like that. Habits are very difficult to break. Our nature, conditioned nature, which we have acquired over so many lifetimes, is very difficult to change. But you know, that's why this we need some training like that. So the chanting of the holy name, like that. Okay,
You should develop new habits as well.
habits.
You should develop new habits as well.
Correct.
I was hearing in class, and Prabhu, you were saying, with regard to just reading and chanting and, all the devotional service, specific to reading, if you do something consistently for a month, maybe just a paragraph of reading every day. If you do that throughout the year, it becomes a habit basically. So to go away, to give up the old habits, to also develop new ones.
Yeah, and we have to do the activity in the right consciousness also. That's the thing. So reading and then trying to absorb, not just to increase academic knowledge, not to increase like knowledge, but to do it in the right consciousness also. We have to do it as like, I don't know anything. Like you chant, but the consciousness in which you chant is also very important. So of course we don't have that good consciousness in the, like, because of the all the conditioning, but the consciousness in which we do the service. So that's the what is the reason for doing that service? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Whether I'm so the ideal answer to that question is that I want to please Krishna. That's the ideal answer. I'm reading Bhagavatam to please Krishna or to please Srila Prabhupada because he wants us to do it. That's why I'm doing it, following his command to please him. So, and for my purification. That's the actual motive in whatever we are doing. So that we have to always remember. Why have we joined ISKCON? Why am I? What is the reason? So that why always has to be. I think Naveen Krishna Prabhu spoke like 1 or 2 Sundays back about this, give a class about the consciousness behind what we do is the important thing. So, yeah, you can read this maybe.
Yeah, we already discussed, but what Prabhupada was saying in one lecture. Bhakti Yoga means Vairagya Vidya, how to become detached. That is the test. Whether I'm making progress in Bhakti Yoga, the test is within yourself. You haven't got to take a certificate from others. How much you are becoming detached to this material world. That is a test. If you're still attached to the material pleasures, that means you're not making progress in Bhakti Yoga. It is a test. Bhakti Parishan Bhava Virakti Anyatrasya.
Yeah. So, want to say anything on that, anybody?
Yeah, only we know whether we are making progress.
Yeah, just like you are eating, so you know how much satisfaction you are getting from eating. Your hunger is diminishing. So, first you realize that, yeah, and
Yeah, and only if the service is done unconditionally and uninterruptedly, that will satisfy ourselves. Savatam samparo dharma yatha bhakti redemption. If we are looking for other things, prestige, honor, praise, respect, we will never be satisfied. Will not be joyful.
Okay, so pure devotional service ultimately is the goal. We may not be there yet, but that is the goal. So, okay. And Krishna gives pure devotional service, and Krishna only gives pure devotional service because when he gives pure devotional service, like if you want material things, Krishna will give you because Krishna says, okay, you want this, so many things. Okay, you can get it. But if I give pure devotional service, then I'll have to run after you. So, because Krishna becomes attracted by pure devotional service, Krishna becomes purchased by pure devotion. So, Krishna has to give himself to the devotee. He becomes, what is that characteristic of pure devotional service? Sri Krishna
Shri Krishna Akarshana.
Akarshini. So, Krishna says, okay, you want some things that I can give you easily, but if you want, because I have to like become your servant, Krishna becomes servant of his pure devotees. So he checks out before whether really you are aspiring for pure devotional service, you really have some, and he can detect because he is nothing can escape the Supreme Lord because he is in our heart. We can say fool everybody, but you can't fool the Supreme Lord because he is in the heart. He knows everything. So we can pose ourselves like we sometimes devotees say the pure devotee syndrome, like PDS. So when we come, then we think I'll become pure devotee, pure devotee, pure devotee, like that. So, but then Krishna reveals our anarthas and things like that. So first Krishna reveals also our anarthas, and initially we don't even know what are our anarthas. Before we come, we don't know what is anartha. Like they say, when you clean a dirty room, which is all the dust is settled, then you don't see any dust because it is all in the carpet and inside. But when you start vacuuming, then some dust is going to fly or some cobwebs are there on the. So when you actually come in the fire of devotional service, then all the anarthas are revealed. And eventually they get burnt. The fire of devotional service burns up all the anarthas and all the seeds of material desires. So, but you have to remain in the fire of bhakti. So eventually it will happen and have a desire to burn up all this. So then it will happen by Krishna's grace. Okay, so aham atma atmanam dhatah preshtah san preyasham api ato mai ratim kuryad dehadir yat krite priyah. I am the super soul of every individual soul, the supreme director and the dearest of the dear. People are wrongly attached to the gross and subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. So Krishna is saying everybody should be attached to me only. Vishnu is saying that's Krishna. So we are attached to our gross body and subtle body. Like we know that we have gross material desires, and we have subtle material desires, and we are attached to the gross and subtle bodies. But they should be attached to me only. Actually, we have three bodies or three kinds of senses. There is senses on the gross body, which we eyes, ears, nose, we see. And then there is the mind also has senses. The subtle body has the senses, and then the spiritual body has the senses. So right now our spiritual senses are covered by the gross and the subtle material senses. So we are trying to enjoy, but we are not getting that much enjoyment at the spiritual on the spiritual platform. It's just like if you have the example was given like that if your tongue is covered with a plastic, like a thin polythene like plastic, and then somebody puts a gulab jambu on your tongue. You can't enjoy because it is covered. That that tongue is covered. So similarly, our spiritual senses are covered by this gross and subtle matter, and that's why we can't enjoy the spiritual. So when we chant Hare Krishna, we drop our gross and subtle, and then we can enjoy on the spiritual. With our spiritual senses, we can enjoy the spiritual life. So the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is the dearest of the dear for both the conditioned and the liberated souls. A person who does not know that the Lord is the dearmost object in the conditioned state of life. So the dearest of dear person is the Supreme Lord. That is what this is saying. A person who does not know that the Lord is the dearmost object is in the conditioned state of life. And one who knows perfectly well that the Lord is the dearmost object is considered to be liberated. The most dear object to us is the Supreme Lord. How we can understand this? Anybody like why Krishna is the most dearmost object of the soul?
In the
Huh?
in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, it was mentioned, right?
Correct.
Everybody, actually, the most dearest object is our own self, the spirit soul. But the spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So Krishna is the dearmost. Actually, everybody is concerned about themselves, like, right? So for things, we are looking for our pleasure most of the time. But spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So Krishna becomes the dearmost. And he is the closest. He's our eternal friend. He'll be there with us all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we love somebody because we don't like, because as long as the soul is there in the body, we love that person. When the soul departs, we just have to like get rid of the body. So the person we love is not the body. The person we love is the soul. And the soul is part and parcel of Krishna, like that. So the soul is part of Krishna. So we actually love Krishna. Like that some argument was given, right? And then we love ourselves.
Because I think the Vrajvasis were loving Krishna more than their sons. In that regards, it was mentioned.
Correct. Yeah. Earlier they had more affection for Krishna than their own son. But when Krishna expanded as the cowherd boys, then they had the same affection they had for Krishna. So that the question was, I think, put that why now they have the same affection. Before they had more affection for Krishna than their own child, but now because that cowherd boy was Krishna himself. So yeah, in that conversation it's mentioned like that. So actually we love Krishna. And if you love Krishna, then you love everybody also, because everybody is part and parcel of Krishna. There are degrees of knowing one's relationship with the Lord, depending on the degree of realization as to why the Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of every living being. The real reason is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita. Mame vamsho jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. The living entities are eternally parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The living entity is called the Atma, and the Lord is called the Paramatma. The living entity is called Brahman, and the Lord is called the Parabrahman or the Parameshwar, Ishvara Parama Krishna. The conditioned souls who do not have self realization accept the material body as the dearmost. So, those who don't no conception of that who they are, they like the body. Everybody is attached to their body. The idea of dearmost is then spread all over the body, both concentrated and extended. The attachment for one's own body and its extensions like children and relatives is actually developed on the basis of the real living entity. Even the body of the most dear son is no longer attractive as soon as the real living entity is out of the body. Nobody loves a dead body. That's what Prabhupada is saying. So, body is attractive because the soul is there. Therefore, the living spark or eternal part of the Supreme is the real basis of affection and not the body. So, it's the soul's presence that we love. Because the living entities are also parts of the whole living entity, that supreme living entity is the factual basis of affection for all. But that soul is part of super soul. One who has forgotten the basic principle of his love for everything has only flickering love because he is in Maya. The more one is affected by the principle of Maya, the more he is detached from the basic principle of love. One cannot factually love anything unless he is fully developed in the loving service of the Lord. Okay. In the present verse, stress is given to focusing love upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is saying that they should be attached to me only. The word kuryat is significant here. Of course, we know attachment to the self-realized soul is also very potent, right? Because by attachment to the self-realized souls, what will happen? We will follow their guidance and instruction and will become attached to Krishna. So, if you are attached to somebody, then you will follow their direction. You want to please them. So, if you are attached to pleasing the great souls, then they will tell you that you should serve Krishna, that will please. Like Prabhupada once asked, what will please me the most? Right? He asked this question. And what was the answer? The
If you
thing,
love Krishna.
the thing that will please me the most is that you love Krishna. So that's what Srila Prabhupada said. So if you are attached to Srila Prabhupada or any great personality, then you want to please them by, what they want you to do. So they will engage you in service to Krishna. Like Prabhupada engaged all his disciples in opening temples, in book distribution, in deity worship, and so many things. So, and they did that to please Prabhupada. So in that way, they engaged in the service of Krishna. And that's why attachment to great souls opens the door to liberation, because they will engage you in Krishna's service. Mahat Seva Dwaram Ahur Vimukti
Muktas.
Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. Yeah, so that is. And what is the other verse? In the Sadhu Sangashtakam, also this verse comes. Attachment to great souls opens the door to liberation.
Sangamajaram Pasham Atmana Pavya Vidhu Daiva Sadhusha Krita Moksha Dvaram Bhavrita.
Everyone knows that attachment for material things is the greatest cause for entanglement, but the same attachment, when applied to the great souls, opens the door to liberation. Prasangamajaram Pasham Atmana Kavevi Saiva Sadhu Shukrita Moksha Dwara Apavritam. So you want to please them, and you please them because they want to engage you in service. Then you please them by Vani, right? Vani and Vapu, both. But Vapu is not there always. So Vani is more important. So that's how you please. Prabhupada met his spiritual master only few times in his whole life. Like, he didn't have that much association as others who may have had very close association, but he pleased his spiritual master very much because he accepted his order to preach in the West, and so that is the way to please. So in the present verse, stress is given to focusing love upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word kuryat is significant here. This means one must have it. This word is used just to stress that we must have more and more attachment to the principle of love for the Lord. The influence of Maya is experienced by the part and parcel spiritual entity, but it cannot influence the supersoul, the Paramatma. The Mayavadi philosophers, accepting the influence of Maya on the living entity, want to become one with the Paramatma, but because they have no actual love for Paramatma, they remain ever entrapped by the influence of Maya and are unable to approach the vicinity of Paramatma. This inability is due to the lack of affection for the Paramatma. A rich miser does not know how to utilize his wealth. Therefore, in spite of his being very rich, his miserly behavior keeps him everlastingly a poor man. On the other hand, a person who knows how to utilize wealth can quickly become a rich man, even with a small credit balance. The eyes and the sun are very intimately related because without sunlight, the eyes are unable to see. But the other parts of the body, being attached to the sun as the source of warmth, take more advantage of the sun than do the eyes. Without possessing affection for the sun, the eyes cannot bear the rays of the sun. Or, in other words, such eyes have no capacity to understand the utility of the sun's rays. Similarly, the empiric philosophers. Does somebody understand this, what Prabhupada is saying here? Uh, his miserly behavior keeps him everlasting.
About the sun and the eyes?
Yeah, what is he saying? Eyes and the sun are very intimately related. Yeah.
Yeah, eyes cannot see without sunlight.
Hmm.
But in the sun, the eyes are closed, right? We can't see the sun. Eyes cannot see the sun, but the other body parts get the warmth from the sun. So eyes doesn't seem to have affection for the sun because it's closed. But it cannot function without the sun. So similarly, the empiric philosophers, despite their theoretical knowledge of Brahman, cannot utilize the mercy of Supreme Brahman.
Because they lack affection. Hmm.
I mean, they
Yeah,
are being granted, like you're saying, they're being granted their abilities from Krishna only. And they're writing philosophies saying that Krishna does not exist.
yeah, to utilize something, you must know the value of that, right? So, like if you give some iPhone to a child, he doesn't know what this iPhone is, and he thinks it's some like thing, and he cannot. But to a grown-up man, if you give the iPhone, he can use it for many things. He can hear many classes, and he can talk to so many like that. So Prabhupada is saying that they cannot understand, they cannot utilize the mercy because they lack affection. They don't know the value of it. So, or somebody is very merciful to us, but if I am not appreciating the mercy, then I cannot really capitalize on that mercy, right? I cannot use that. So, like somebody wants to teach Bhagavatam to us, but I am not ready to, I don't have the inclination, I don't have the desire, the interest, then you cannot get any benefit. The Prabhupada wants to give us, the knowledge, the transcendental knowledge, but we should also have the, the urge, the inclination to accept it. So many impersonal philosophers remain everlastingly under the influence of Maya, although they indulge in theoretical knowledge of Brahman, they do not develop affection for Brahman, nor do they have any scope for development of such affection because of their defective method. A devotee of the sun god, even though devoid of eyesight, can see the sun god as he is, even from this planet, whereas one who is not a devotee of the sun cannot even bear the glaring sunlight. Similarly, by devotional service, even though one is not on the level of a jnani, one can see the personality of Godhead within oneself due to one's development of pure love. In all circumstances, one should try to develop love of Godhead, and that will solve all contending problems. So, main thing is all this, everything should result in some love, affection for the Lord. All the knowledge and everything ultimately It is meant to bring us to the point of loving the Lord. And if you come to the point of loving the Lord, then it doesn't matter how you got there. Even if you didn't have knowledge, but if you develop love for the Lord, like some Vrajavasis, they don't have Bhakti Shastri degree, and they may not have all the, you know, they may not know so many shlokas, they may not know, like that Bengali widow who was bringing water from Yamuna every day to bathe Radha Damodar. She was doing her service. Um, so, of course, we should read the books. I'm not saying that, but ultimately, everything should culminate in love and affection for the Lord. So, that is the highest thing. And if we're not having, then it's okay. We just have to practice, beg Krishna. So, like that. Because everybody is at different level in how much love they have for the Supreme Lord. And their past life, they have cultivated, some have cultivated more love for, so they are now like on a very high platform, they are starting it. Their affection is a lot. And some others, we are like me, are just starting. So so some lifetimes we'll get some love further down the line. By Krishna only has to give the love for himself. So we can only ask for Krishna, please give some love for you, some attraction for you. So we can have knowledge, but we may not have taste. That's another thing. A taste in bhakti comes from the mercy of the Lord, or realization and taste come by the mercy. So we may have knowledge, we may be practicing, but taste comes by, of course we have to practice, then only we'll get taste. But yeah, Krishna, when he's pleased with us, then he gives us some taste in bhakti. So is that correct to say like that, or not? By the mercy only we get taste.
Krishna is pleased with our endeavor.
Correct.
That same thing, Syat Krishna Nam Charitadi, and avoiding offenses.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was seeing this 10-14 chapter. There Brahma is saying that Sri Shukdev Goswami said, O king, for every created being, the dearmost thing is certainly his own self. The dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is due only to the dearness of the self. Actually, we love others because they give us something in return, right? So we all love ourselves. That's what Brahma is saying. That's the best thing. And yeah, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So that's why the dearmost thing is Krishna.
As explained in this verse, a great living entity serves his society, nation, family, and so on, only because these objects of affection represent the expanded concept of false ego. So we are serving because it's my nation. A patriot sees himself as a great servitor of great nation, and he sacrifices his life to gratify his sense of egotism. So many soldiers they sacrifice. Similarly, it is common knowledge that a man feels great pleasure by thinking that he is sacrificing everything to please his dear wife and children. A man derives great egotistic pleasure by seeing himself as a selfless well-wisher of his so-called family and community. Thus, to gratify his proud sense of false ego, a man is prepared to even lay down his life. So, yeah, he takes great pleasure in satisfying his family or country like that, and he feels very proud of that. I'm doing some welfare for others. So because of that proud sense of false ego, a man is prepared to lay down his life. This apparently contradictory behavior is yet another demonstration of the bewilderment of material life, which is neither rhyme nor reason, being a manifestation. These purports are written by Hridayananda Maharaj, and this is the 14th chapter. So this is the disciples of Prabhupada. So although the self is most dear, but sometimes they will sacrifice the self for others. For national, soldiers are dying for the country, like that. So it says such so-called selfless behavior appears to contradict the principle of material self-centeredness and self-preservation. So in this verse, it is saying that we are centered around. So
Yeah, and then in the verse 55, it explained how Krishna is very dear to. Yeah, Parikshit Maharaj asked Shukdev Goswami why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of the Vrindavan who loved him even more than their own offsprings. 55.
okay. Yeah, because if Krishna is not there, then the soul is also not there. We are part and parcel of Krishna. So the soul is there because it's because of Krishna. It's part of Krishna. So soul's identity is it is part of Krishna. So something like that. Okay.
So, I mean, whatever qualities that we are attracted to, Krishna has it in full, right? So that's why he's all attractive. Aishwarya Samagrasya Veerasya Yashashashya. That's why George Harrison writes, actually everybody is looking for Krishna. Somebody realize it and somebody don't. Like, we are looking for Krishna in others. When we are disappointed by someone, means, I mean, we are looking that person be like Krishna. Because Krishna is perfect in everything. In his qualities and his dealings and reciprocation.
Yeah. Yeah, even if the soul is there, but if the person is like very not having good qualities, then we are not attracted. Right? So that is also another thing. We are attracted to somebody who has good qualities. Of course, we are supposed to not hate anybody. Hate the sin, not the sinner. Hate the disease, not the diseased. Soul is pure, but because of the contamination, we may not like somebody. So even the soul is present because of the qualities. Of course, we also have a lot of bad qualities. So, but yeah. So when the soul becomes pure, then he exhibits all the qualities, and that's what makes Srila Prabhupada was attractive to so many because of all the good qualities he possesses. He possessed. So the pure devotee possesses all the good qualities, and that's what attracts. Otherwise, the soul is there, but if the soul is contaminated, the consciousness is contaminated, then we not attracted. So like that. So yeah, ultimately it is we are attracted to Krishna because Krishna has all the good qualities in full, and some part of his qualities is manifesting in the soul for some time, like that. So we are attracted to the qualities, right? Ultimately, any person because of their qualities and their that's what makes anybody attractive in this world. And because the pure devotee has all the good qualities, that's why they are very attractive to others.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think the highest quality that we look for is compassion more than
compassion?
anything else, right?
Yeah, person
And
is very
harmony.
yes, person is very beautiful, but he's very arrogant and very cruel. Then you don't feel so. He may have a lot of talent, but very proud and very arrogant. Then even though they may have those qualities, but you're not attracted. But when somebody is very kind, very compassionate, then loving, then somebody who has big false ego, then you're not attracted because he's always talking about himself or herself. But somebody who's like humble, like that, naturally, and somebody who's giving respect to everybody, and then automatically, if somebody loves you, then automatically the natural thing is that you want to love them because, yeah, I think there is one clip by Radhanath Maharaj. He says, if you want others to love you, you should show love to others. You can't expect people to love you when you don't love others. So that's something like that. So, like Kratu Maharaj was saying, if you love your dog, then the dog will also love you back. That propensity is there. So, to to get love from others, we have to also sometimes we want love from others, but we are not ready to express our love or show our affection and love. I mean, on the spiritual platform, I'm not talking just material thing. But yeah, if you care about somebody, then they will naturally feel affectionate and love towards you. So that is the so Prabhupada.
Yeah,
Everybody
but
everybody felt that Prabhupada cares for me, right? So this person cares for me, really. I don't know. They were many devotees say like that. Yeah, you want to say?
yeah, but we should try to love unconditionally because otherwise we'll be disappointed because the four defects of the conditioned soul is always there. People make mistakes and they have cheating propensity and senses are imperfect. So I mean, all services that we do for Krishna and for devotees should be done in an unconditional way, otherwise, we'll be dissatisfied.
Yeah, unconditional love. Yes, that's yeah. Krishna loves us unconditionally, right? So there is no his love is always there, unconditional. Even he punishes us. That is also his love. Like so, Krishna loves unconditionally, and the pure devotee also expresses that he also loves all the jivas unconditionally. Okay, so it's very high, nothing to do that. Yeah. Sarva Veda Maya Nedam. I think all the good qualities come like in 13.8. Prabhupada says that Amanitvam, that verse is there, the big verse. Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Shantira, Arjavam, Acharya Upasnam, Saucham, Sthairyam, Atma Vinigraha. That whole list of qualities, humility, pridelessness, amanitvam, adhamitvam, ahimsa, non-violence, all these qualities. And then Prabhupada comes to this quality, right? And he says, Mai chananya yogena bhakti ravyabhicharini. He says, unalloyed devotion to Krishna. Because if you have that, then all the other qualities will come. So by becoming Krishna conscious, so how do we recognize who is a devotee? Prabhupada said, he is a perfect gentleman. Because devotee means, yeah, he has all the good qualities. So that's if you become pure in heart, then all the good qualities are there, they'll manifest. It's just we have to remove the anarthas. Everybody has all the good qualities because we are all pure devotees, but the contamination is there. So just by devotional service, we have to remove the anarthas. Then all the good qualities will come because naturally we have all the good qualities. So then, yeah, all the good qualities will manifest. That's why in the 26 Vaishnava qualities, the most important quality is Krishna,
Krishna Ekasharanam.
Krishna Ekasharanam. So it is said that 26 qualities are there, but one who takes shelter of Krishna, then all the good qualities will come gradually. But of course, we have to cultivate also. We have to, it's not like we don't cultivate humility and all these things, but they will become more and more steady as we become devoted to Krishna. By following my instructions, you can now generate the living entities as before, by dint of your complete Vedic wisdom and the body you have directly received from me, the supreme cause of everything. Okay, so now he is given the order to create. The sage will finish this chapter. The sage Maitreya, so this conversation is going on between Maitreya and Vidura. The sage Maitreya said, after instructing Brahma, the creator of the universe, to expand the creation, the primeval Lord, the personality of Godhead in his personal form as Narayan, disappeared. Before his activity in creating the universe, Brahma saw the Lord. That is the explanation of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam 29, 33, 34, 35. When the creation awaited Brahma's activity, Brahma saw the Lord, and therefore the Lord existed in his personal form before the creation. Aham evasham evagre nanyat yat sadasat param. That verse is there. Krishna says, I existed before the creation. So, his eternal form is not created by the attempt of Brahma as imagined by less intelligent man. The personality of Godhead appeared as he is before Brahma, and the Lord disappeared from Brahma's vision in the same form, which is not materially tinged. Okay, so next is divisions of creation. We'll stop here for now.